Today we've come to Hive Beach. And this is Hive Beach. A rather stern looking warning sign there. So this is at the northwestern end of Chesil Beach. So if we were to look all the way down there, we'll maybe see the Isle of Portland. But there we go, there's the cliffs. I'm not sure we're going to go in front of the cliffs because it's actually high tide at the moment. There's quite a surf. So there we go. So it is unfortunately high tide at the moment. And the waves are right up against the cliffs. So we won't be going that way. I think we'll probably go for a walk down that way toward Portland. But while we're here, we could do a little gravel survey. So this is the stones at Hive Beach at the kind of pretty much the northwestern end of Chesil Beach, and it is still these little rounded pebbles, but very, very tiny. So typical size, maybe something like that. Imagine if I had to count a cup full of those. It is the perfect digging beach for Eva. I'll talk about you. Eva. This could be interesting because the waves do wash up this far. Oh no, we lost your stone. So yeah, every now and again there's a wave like that. So in terms of geology, is this Kimmeridge clay? I think it is. So there could be some fossils to find here. Oh Eva, honestly. Here. But let's just for a moment enjoy the phenomenal sound of these waves. I think Eva is even more digging focused than usual, just because of the nature of the gravel here. It is perfect digging substrate for her. There she goes again. So in amongst all of this clay there are these flat pieces of limestone, mudstone, shale, various sedimentary rocks, and you can see in there are fragments of shells. You can see them sparkling in the sunshine there. I'm not sure there'd be any actual fossils to excavate out of that, but that's what we're looking at here. Let's just have a look along here. Yeah, it's this kind of, it looks like rocks, but it's actually clay. A few people have commented asking, could this clay be used to make ceramics? I think the answer is yes. It is clay, and there are other parts of the UK where this particular geological stratum is mined for clay, for ceramics. I'm not sure how well it would work if you took it from here, because these cliffs have been bathed by salt water from the sea, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would change the way it fires. It might salt glaze itself, but that seems a bit of an optimistic idea. Here's the thing we don't often look at. This is a, oh, actually there's two things. There's a piece of seaweed there. I think that might be bladder wrack or something like that. Anyway, those little bladders there are full of air, and that keeps the seaweed floating. So this is a holdfast. It's a root-like structure from the bottom of a seaweed, a marine alga, but it's not a root. It's not like roots in that it doesn't take up nutrients. It just anchors the thing in place on a rock, and in this case probably didn't do its job quite well enough because it's loose here. But there are, actually I think that might be bladder wrack. I'm not an expert on identifying seaweeds, so take what I say with a pinch of salt. There is a piece of lime bay agate, not a very good piece, but we're in the right place. This is Lime Bay. I'll just pick up a few rocks because in some places you can't find them, and even needs a constant supply. So there are some fossils to see here. Little, looks like bits of bivalve shells. Some slightly more distinct bits of bivalve shells in that side. Similarly here, bits of oyster shell, I think, fossilized into that piece of stone there. So I think it's true that if you go along in front of those cliffs there are some ammonite fossils to be found, but we would need a much lower tide. It's actually high tide, although there's not much tidal movement today. Lovely clean beach. Not seeing really very much litter or plastic here on this beach, that's good. Eva! So the car park here was a bit expensive, so we're going to make the most of it. There was a little cafe here as well, actually, that sells freshly made, the locally made sausage rolls, so we got a couple of those, bag of crisps and a piece of homemade cake from home, and we'll find a flat rock to sit on if we can and have a little picnic. So here's an interesting thing. So we can see the strata here have been tipped up. It's probably some official geological term for that, but the bedding planes in this sedimentary rock angle down this way, and that's not because the cliff has collapsed, that's because the whole landscape has been folded by the various forces that formed these cliffs and formations. Very soft underfoot here. It's just sharp sand essentially, so it's coarse sand and small gravel mixed together in this particular spot. Down there on the shoreline it's a little bit less fine. Eva. You're looking a bit tired now. She's done a lot of digging today. What a gorgeous day. And we needed this as well. I mean, last week or two in February has been really wet, cold and miserable. A few months down, we get a dry one. Here we've almost got sandcastle sand. It's a little bit coarse still. One question I quite often get in comments and videos is, why do your beaches look so different to our beaches? So I don't visit a lot of sandy beaches, and so people who are accustomed to sandy beaches quite often, I think, look at the rocky beaches I tend to favour and assume that that's what all of the beaches in the UK are like. It's not really like that at all. We've got quite a diversity of beaches, but I tend to favour the rocky ones. Something sand gets everywhere. Anakin Skywalker. Well, I think this looks like a place to park and eat our sausage rolls. Do you like sausage rolls? No, you get your nose out of my bag. So, homemade sausage rolls from the little cafe on the beach. They look really good. I'll tell you if they taste really good. Good. So that's how far we've come. I think we'll probably walk that far again in the other direction. Gosh, Eva is just beside herself with excitement because of the digging potential of this beach. Yeah, I think we'll walk a bit further. We've just enjoyed our sausage rolls. We'll stop for coffee and cake a bit further. I want to go and show you this flat rock here. So this flat piece of rock here, we've got lots of very conspicuous bits of fossil. Lots of bivalves. Probably some oyster-like bivalve shell. There's quite a big one where you can see ridges in the shell. In a few places you can see the remains of the mother of pearl, the nacre. But it's a whole bed of shells. They don't seem to be intact, complete specimens. They're just a jumble of shells. So this would have been a beach, I think, where a whole bunch of shells washed up and then were cemented in place by muds, which have then become rock. That's an interesting little thing there. That could be a crinoid stem. So there's the first shell I've seen. A slipper limpet. Not native to these shores, but very common. Well, you can see why that's called a slipper limpet. These, when they're alive, grow together in great big clusters that look like the segments of oranges, look like a peeled mandarin, sort of all clustered together, one on top of the other. And apparently they have this really weird mating habit where there's a dead shell on the bottom, because obviously that open bit can't be alive on its own. And then there's the next living shell up is female, and all of the shells on top of it are male, or at least they are performing the male role. I think they're gastropods, so they might be hermaphroditic. But anyway, so the bottom one is the one that acts as the female. The male's all on top, mates with it until it dies and falls off, and then the bottom one in the stack then assumes the role of the female, and all the ones above it mate with that. So they all kind of get a turn at being mum. Here's another one of these rocks with lots of little bits of bivalve shell in it, including one where we can see the shape of the shell there, fan-shaped shell. That could actually be a brachiopod shell. It might not be a bivalve mollusk. It might be a brachiopod. They're very similar looking things, but not related. A cuttlebone here. So this is similar to, you know, we've looked at belemnite fossils in the past. So this is the kind of analogue of a belemnite fossil. This is the internal skeleton of a cuttlefish. And so a belemnite would have been quite similar, but just a different shaped internal thing, but a squid-like animal basically. And if I could find a piece of this flat limestone that had some really nice looking shells in it, I might take a piece home and grind it flat so that we can appreciate the cross section. But I haven't seen, I've only seen nice big pieces and disappointing small pieces at the moment, so it might just not be the day for it. So I think we'll carry on walking here. It looks like there's a kind of headland where the beach widens out a bit up here. There is up ahead what looks like the remains of World War II pillbox, so we're going to take a look at that. Doesn't look like there's a lot of it left actually, but that might be the midpoint of our walk today, the turning point. Another one of these pieces of stone with, well, potentially some quite nice fossils in it, but too big to carry. And here we're in, well, the landscape has dipped down, so we're in the upper strata now, the higher sandy strata. We're seeing the gravel starting to change as well, so it is still patches of sand, but now it's patches of this fine Chesil Beach shingle. And at this point, this end of the beach, it's very, very fine pea shingle. And that there, I think, is the start of Chesil Bank. So that's really, I think this is probably the point where you could say this is definitely Chesil Beach. So yeah, that looks like there's not very much more than just the footings of what used to be a World War II pillbox there. That's definitely not a natural structure, that's an artificial structure there. I can see a piece of steel reinforcing bar sticking out the top of it. So that's what's underneath the pillboxes we've seen in other videos. That would have been buried in the beach, and then the pillbox built out of concrete or bricks or both on top. So here, the cliffs at the top of the beach give way to a gravel bank, which we'll just go and climb on top of, I think, because this is where we're going to see that we've really joined Chesil Beach. Also not a natural formation. Quite a divisive topic actually, rock stacking. Here on the beach it really kind of matters almost not at all, because next time the tide comes in, that's all falling over and it's all a big jumble of rocks anyway, and concrete. This is concrete here, urbanite. So it doesn't, I don't think it really matters if you stack up rocks here. But people have been doing this in places in much more delicate mountain habitats and prizing stones out of the mountain turf to make rock stacks to post on Instagram. And the thing is with mountain soils is that once you make a little hole in the turf, it quickly turns into a kind of cascade effect of erosion, and so you can end up just pulling one rock out of the ground and cause a whole hillside to erode away, because the turf, the thin turf, is the only thing holding it in place. So quite a lot of opposition really to rock stacking in general, and a lot of it's kind of down with this sort of thing in general. But it is, as always, it's all about context. Let me find a rock to keep Eva busy. I'm surprised you've got any energy, dog. Here's the thing. This is an empty cluster of whelk eggshells. So a sea snail, a whelk, laid a cluster of eggs. They would have been quite rubbery and gelatinous when they were first fresh. Most of them hatched out, and that's the empty egg cases. Yeah, and here we can see, so we're up on a gravel bank here, which takes over from this turf-topped cliff, and this is the origin of Chesil Beach at this end. Hello. So yeah, this point here is where Chesil Beach starts, I would say. I think if you're going to, at least if you're talking about Chesil Bank, this is the point where the actual ridge is defined and becomes continuous. You can't see the Isle of Portland, it is down there, about 20 miles in that direction. 30 kilometers I think from here to Portland. We only walked half of it when we did the gravel survey from Abbotsbury, which is actually maybe the furthest hill you can see here. So that's the beach we've just walked on. I think we'll walk back across the cliff top on the coast path. Isn't this turf beautiful? Very, very likely grazed by rabbits, I would say, and probably the rabbits all live in this scrub in burrows behind here. In fact, you can probably see that looks like a rabbit run there. That looks like another one. There's another one there. You can see, I mean, that's just a little path that's been trodden by humans, but you can see lots of little runs in the bushes here. There we go, there's another one. Those are rabbit runs where rabbits retreat from predators. This bush looks like it might be blackthorn. Very, very scrubby. Yeah, I think that's probably blackthorn. Sloes. Sea beet, not quite the season for picking sea beet. I did bring a bag in case we found some, but it's a little bit early to be looking for sea beet, at least here anyway. But we'll see, we might find something further up. Yeah, lots and lots of rabbit trails. That's a very clear rabbit track there. Imagine if we looked around, we would see rabbit droppings and little rabbit latrines. Yeah, here we go. Rabbit droppings all across the grass here. And this little scrape here is probably a rabbit latrine. In fact, there's a lot of rabbit droppings around. I expect Eva will snack on a few of those later. She likes the bunny snacks. So yeah, we're going to walk back across the top of the cliff. I'm not going to go very close to the edge of the cliff because landslides happen here. But we'll get a different view of the beach. And there we go, we've got a really good view there of the beginning of Chesil Bank. And I keep imagining I can see the Isle of Portland there, but I think it is probably my imagination. And over there we've got a lot more sea beet. But yeah, looking really scrappy at this time of year. Another month until that's worth picking, I would say. More plants to look at here. This is an iris species, Iris fetidissima, I think. Stinking Gladwin, or roast beef plant. So called because apparently the leaves, when you crush them, smell of, well, some people say of roast beef, some people say of they just stink. Let's put that to the test right now. So I crushed a piece of leaf there. It smells like leaf to me. Might be because it's not in active growth or something like that. It's in its dormant phase at the moment. There's an interesting plant coming up here, worth talking about. This is tree mallow, Malva arborea, I think. So we've looked at this in a previous video when I went looking to pick mallow leaves to eat them. And I'm not going to pick any of these leaves, even though they are lovely. Oh, they're so soft. Oh, they're so nice to touch. They are like the, well, you can see the down on them. They are like the softest velvet. So nice. So this is a species of mallow. Later on in the year it will have beautiful magenta flowers in great abundance, and it's almost a tree. Unrelated but interestingly spiky plants. These ones always remind me of Dr. Seuss. I ran and found a brickle bush. I hid myself away. I got brickles in my britches, but I stayed there anyway. This is burdock. And these are the burrs of burdock. So called because, actually I haven't got anything that they'll stick to. I have to go and stick it to Jenny's jumper in a minute. That's burdock. And here's another prickly plant. This is teasel. Kind of a thistle-like plant, but not related to thistles. Can I just borrow your jumper, Jenny? So here we go. Jenny's offered to volunteer to be a burdock host. There we go. So those things stick to, notionally, well, in the wild, animal fur. So an animal would get that bound to its fur and would carry it to a new place where it would hopefully fall off, and or at least disperse its seeds and perhaps find a new place to grow. I haven't got anything woolly to carry that with today, so nothing I'm wearing will stick to that, maybe my socks. But anyway, I have done it. I have, while I've been wittering away here on camera, carried it a little way. So let's give it a new home, which is right there. Quite a long way up now. Or is the sea a long way down? It's all relative, isn't it? Gorse, a gorse bush. Kissing's out of season when gorse is out of flower. The yellow flowers there are the flowers of gorse. I'm not going to go and smell them, even though I know that they're going to be lovely because it's too close to the cliff edge. But gorse flowers, really, really spiky plant in the pea family. If you get a chance to go and sniff the flowers, do so. They smell wonderful. They smell of coconut sun cream. Lots more teasels there in the little bit of cliff top here. Not sure I'd want to own one of these dwellings, given that this cliff is busy becoming part of the beach. Never mind, might be okay for a while. This bank of fleshy green leaves here, we're going to have a look at that in a minute. Not a native plant. This is one of two different species of a genus called Carpobrotus. It's in the Mesembryanthemum family, and it has these really fleshy, succulent leaves. Yellow or pink, daisy-like, but not actually daisy flowers. None in evidence at the moment. It's too cold and it's the wrong time of year. But this one's been quite invasive, I think, actually, and it can tend to take over a little bit. But it is good for stabilizing banks, you know, cliff tops and whatnot. Let me get back down on the path there, because it's a bit sticky up there.
These are fairly new.
Yeah.
Fancy jumping on
All the teasels. Yeah, Jenny's just saying these do look quite new, don't they? So fancy building new holiday cabins or whatever they are on a cliff that is busy falling into the sea. Okay, I mean, maybe they've reinforced it with piles underneath that bank or something, or then again, maybe not. Yeah, it does look like they've at least done some groundworks there to stabilise it. But yeah, these are all new builds up here. But they haven't finished building by the look of it. There's plots up there with nothing built on them. And meanwhile, the cliff is doing this. Fun times. And it looks like this paraglider is going to come right over the top of us. So I'll keep the camera rolling while that happens. Oh, no, gone back the other way. So there's an onshore wind today, which is hitting the cliffs and then being diverted upwards. And so that paraglider is taking advantage of the updraft that's just being pushed. There's a kind of, I suppose the wind is just coming in, the cliff is just an inclined plane and it's pushing the air up as it comes in. And there's the beach down there. So there's the old coast path, now cut off because the cliff has subsided. You can see where it used to go down there, although I think some people probably use that path to get down to the beach. National Trust Burton Bradstock. Please avoid leaving litter. You'd think that that wouldn't need saying, wouldn't you? So really nice view of the cliffs from up here. Let's just go and get a better look at that. How about that for a view? I think that one could be the thumbnail. Well, here looks like a good spot to sit and have a cup of coffee and a slice of cake. Ooh. Overlooking Hive Beach. So, cup of coffee, bit of homemade fruit cake at the cliff top at Hive Beach on a beautiful February day in my shirt sleeves. That's good. So the paragliders are from the, I think, HGPG they said it was. I stopped to just ask them. I met some of them on the cliff top actually, just to check that I could have consent to show them on video doing their thing, and they were more than happy to. So I think they said they were from the HGPG, which is the something paragliders club. Tag them if you know them. Just looking at what we can see here, I think the cliffs here on Hive Beach are continuous and go along to West Bay. It's the same kind of cliff formation. It's very vertical, actually overhanging. And then further in the distance you can see Golden Cap, and then that must be Lyme Regis over there, and it looks like it might be raining over there. That does look like rain between us and Lyme Regis. Perhaps we've had the best of the day. So here we go, here are the cliffs, and you can see actually it's been a big cliff fall just along there. I'm not going to go in front of the cliffs. A walk along from here to West Bay might be quite a nice walk sometime actually, but if I was going to do it, we'll pick a time when there are big tides and when it's low tide, so that we can stay well clear of the cliffs. That might be a walk we do sometime. Let me know if that's a thing you might be interested in. But you can see the water's coming, this is still, the tide is falling now, and yet the water is still all the way up to the cliffs, and you can see the undercut there. Can you see the way that those cliffs have been undercut? So up on that other cliff top, we're just looking, here's what used to be the old coast path, and it just disappears now because the cliffs are gone. And there's what used to be a set of steps down to, or out to something which is no longer there. Here's another set of steps which would have connected with them, which again don't go anywhere now. This is an active landscape. In case you're wondering what that ticking noise is, it's that. So yeah, this beach comes from the cliffs eroding, falling down, being ground up into small stones and carried along by longshore drift. It's a shame we can't see all the way along to Portland today. They're a little bit too misty. But anyway, there it is. That's Hive Beach. Very enjoyable day today, just because this is, like I say, we've had weeks of rain and cold, and this is the first sunny day we've had in February. Might actually be the first sunny day we've had in February. So we're just enjoying the opportunity to get out, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, have a little walk. Eva's had a really good dig on the beach. It's been a good day. So just like that, a sunny day with the blue sky has turned into a day. There's rain just around the corner there, just coming our way over from Lyme Regis way. I don't know what that means for these people down here who've just lit a barbecue, but good luck to them. So we're going to head for home now. So that was our little trip to Hive Beach. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.